Welcome to I Am One. I am Domina, the waitress of this house, and I am glad that you are here. Today is night 3 of the 13 nights of Samhain, and I'm going to actually include nights 2 and 3 together in this recording. Yesterday, we were still at the hospital, and my husband was released later in the afternoon. And as you can imagine, I was just a little tired. So I'm going to add day 2 and 3 together in this recording. So, day 2, the prompt was share a cherished memory of someone who has passed. And I actually think of two people. On my mother's side, she was one of 6 children, and on my father's side, he was one of 11. And each side, there is a special uncle that I would like to shout out. Neither of them were on a witchy path or anything like that, but I do have cherished memories of them. They're not on my ancestor altar, but as we honor our ancestors during this month, especially for the Hoodoo Heritage Month, I want to shout both of them out. They played some key roles in helping to shape me in my younger years and even as an adult. So the first uncle is on my mother's side. His name is, or was, or is, I'll say is, his name is, we call him Uncle JB. For the longest time, we thought that JB just stood for whatever his real name was, not knowing that on his birth certificate, I think we were pretty much adults when we realized that JB was actually on his birth certificate. And when he was when I guess he had to like apply for Social Security or what was that? Yeah, Social Security as he was getting ready to retire. He had to actually he had to actually pick a name. So that was pretty cool about him. But what I love and cherish about him, he never had kids of his own. Um, and he married later in life, but again, never had any kids. And the woman that he eventually married, she had grown children. And so it was well past the age of trying to, start a family. And so he took to his stepchildren and became a stepdad to them, even in their adult years. And it was just, they had a fantastic relationship. And when he passed, they all had something very nice to say about him. And even when he was sick, he had, I believe it was lung cancer. And when I went to visit him before he passed, one of the daughters of his wife, she would, when he had the scabs on his head from the chemo, she would pick the scabs. I mean, their family really loved him as if he were their own father, and they all had their own fathers, but they respected him as their mother's husband. They had a great relationship, and it was just beautiful to see. But my cherished memory is I went to college and I graduated, and I worked in daycare. My first job out of college was working at a daycare center, and I moved up from a teacher to assistant director, and was looking to do a center of my own. And my oldest sister had her own daycare business, and so I was interested in starting my own. And when he heard that, he reached out to me. We had a business conversation, and he actually wanted to be a partner with me in starting my daycare. And he did. He didn't just. He told me he believed in me, and he did. But he didn't just say that with his words. He actually said it with a check. And I'm not going to tell you the amount he gave me, but I was in awe of how much he believed in me to write a check for that amount of money. He took it out of his 401k and wrote that check and in that amount of money and gave to me so that we could possibly start a daycare center together. Things ended up not happening and working out, and I gave him back his money, and to this day I still appreciate him for trusting me enough and believing in me enough to not just say, I think you can do this. He put a monetary dollar behind his belief in me, and I will forever be grateful for him for that. The second uncle I want to shout out is my uncle David. That's one of my father's brothers. And again, he was an uncle, didn't have children of his own. And my cherished memory of him is when we were little kids and we were growing up in the projects in New Jersey. He and his wife, they could not, I don't know if they couldn't have children or maybe they decided that they didn't want to. I don't know the backstory on that. I just know they never had children of their own. And he would come and visit us and he would pick us up and he would take us to like the Bronx Zoo, and he took us to Palisade Park, and and just different outings to give us something to do, to basically to spoil us. Because, and he said, when we got older, the reason why he did it was he didn't have kids of his own, so why not spoil us and then send us back home to our parents. He was again, neither of them were, you know, into witchcraft or hoodoo or anything like that. My uncle JB wasn't a big churchgoer. He was a believer in a higher power or God. And my uncle David, he was part of the Baptist denomination, and he was a deacon and well, you know, well known, well respected in his the congregation that he attended. He served our country in the army. I think he retired from the army, and so very, very cool, interesting individuals. Just very sweet people, very open to everyone, very warm and welcoming to anyone, and very instrumental, both of them, in my life. My uncle JB, I remember he came over to our home one Thanksgiving and it was my turn to wash the dishes. And I was all upset that, you know, I couldn't sit in there with the adults and listen to the conversation. I had to get up and wash dishes. And he showed me a trick that I had never known. He showed me how to get the water and get the bubbles in the water and get the water together so that made washing dishes more fun. And to this day, I prefer washing the dishes over using a dishwasher. So much so that when we moved into our home, we had like one of those portable dishwashers that you can move to the sink and plug up to the faucet and use. I got rid of it because to me it was in the way. I enjoy washing dishes, and it's because of my uncle JB. I enjoy having a free spirit and a thinking mind because of my uncle David. And to spoil my nieces and nephews, I think of him the way he spoiled us. I do have a child of my own, but I still enjoy pepping up my nieces and nephews and giving to them when I can and things like that. And I get it from those two men because they gave from themselves when they could have just pocketed what they had. They didn't have any kids. They didn't have that kind of responsibility, but they were willing to share with their nieces and nephews. And it wasn't a big deal to them. So that is my cherished moments for them. Now, day 3 or night 3 for the 13 nights is talking about what is our playlist or soundscape that accompanies our celebration. Again, I really don't have a ritual, but as I have come into my witchiness, there is one particular YouTube channel that I found that is nothing but that kind of ambience, and it's called The Dark of Night. If you have not found it, please check it out. The first video I saw of theirs was, it was like the witches, I call it like the lab, but the witches place where he or she was doing their spells. And so you can hear in the background, like the potion that was stirring. You see the cat laying on the table, enjoying the atmosphere. And out of the blue, you see a hand just appear and start stirring the whatever is in the cauldron or in the bowl, and then it disappears. And it's really cool. And it has soundscapes for the fall season. They really have one that I really like also is I like the sound of a fireplace, crackling fireplace. And so they have a couple of those for the fall and winter. They just have, if you find it, The Dark of Night, please look it up, and I'll link it in the description box below. But that channel, if I use a playlist or a soundscape, it would be that channel. I don't know if you've heard of Andre 3000. He was from the group Outkast. If you have, he has um, this his most recent album, his most shows my age. His most recent musical collection, I guess you say nowadays, is just instrumental music. It is beautiful, and he's from the hip hop genre. So all the hip hoppers, when that music came out, they were so mad because they were ready to hear his latest rap and everything like that. And he kind of gave everybody a heads up. Hey, I'm not going in that direction. This is going to be something new. It is awesome. It has the sounds of nature. It and it's just kind of free flowing. But if I use any music when I do my spells or any kind of crafting, I have used it when I've done some. But if I'm going to use any for this coming season or in this season, that would definitely be some music that I use as well. And I always look for more things to listen to, whether it's with vocals or just instrumentals or not. I am open to it all. I love to sing, so obviously if I find some good sounding, I did find a Mystic channel on Spotify that had a variety of music. I am getting into that. But yeah, music in general, if I can find something, whether it's spooky or not, or any type of music that will get me into the mood of what I'm working on, working towards, trying to create, I'm all for it. So that is my contribution for this third night of the 13 Nights of Samhain. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time. Peace and blessings to you all.